Hey there, crime enthusiasts. Welcome back to the Real Crime Diary, daily dose of crime. I'm your host, Sean Dupree, and boy, do we have a doozy for you today. We're diving deep into the twisted world of Alex Murdaugh, a name that's become synonymous with scandal, murder, and courtroom drama. Today, we're unpacking the latest developments in his ongoing legal saga. Trust me, this one's got more twists than a pretzel factory. So buckle up, because we're about to unravel this complex web of crime and punishment. Alright, folks, let's dive into the latest on Alex Murdaugh's legal saga. Things aren't looking too hot for his defense team right now. They've been trying to chip away at that hefty 40-year federal sentence he got slapped with for his financial shenanigans, but they just hit a major roadblock. So, here's the deal. Murdaugh's lawyers went to the US 4th Circuit Court, thinking they could convince the judges that this sentence was way too harsh. They even pulled out the big guns, arguing it violated his 8th Amendment rights, the one about cruel and unusual punishment. But guess what? The court wasn't buying it. Not even a little bit. They basically said, nice try, but no dice. See, when Murdaugh took that plea deal, he pretty much signed away his right to appeal under most circumstances. It's like he locked himself into this sentence and threw away the key. Now, you might be wondering, why such a long sentence for money stuff? Well, it turns out the judge who handed down this sentence, Richard Gergel, he had some pretty strong feelings about what Murdaugh did. He didn't just see this as your run-of-the-mill embezzlement. Nah, he saw it as Murdaugh preying on people who were already down on their luck, folks dealing with personal crises. And let me tell you, that did not sit well with the judge at all. So, for now at least, Murdaugh's stuck with those 40 years. It's a reminder that when it comes to white-collar crime, the courts can come down hard, especially when you're messing with vulnerable people's money. Alright, let's dive into the nitty-gritty of this appeal process, cause it's pretty fascinating stuff. In cases like Murdaugh's, an appeal isn't just a do-over. It's all about proving there was some kind of legal hiccup or bad call during the original trial. Now, Murdaugh's team, they went in swinging, saying the sentence was way too harsh. But here's the thing, federal courts? They don't mess around. They usually stick to their guns when it comes to tough sentences, especially if the judge had solid reasons. And boy, did Judge Gergel have reasons. He basically said Murdaugh wasn't just stealing, he was preying on people who were already down on their luck. We're talking folks dealing with personal crises, and Murdaugh saw them as easy targets. That's cold, right? But here's where it gets really interesting. Remember that plea deal Murdaugh took? Turns out, it came with some fine print. He basically signed away his right to appeal in most situations. It's like he traded his get-out-of-jail-free card for a shorter sentence up front. And now? Well, the court's basically saying, sorry, buddy, you made your bed, now lie in it. This whole thing really shows how tricky these high-stakes legal battles can be. One wrong move, one overlooked detail in a plea agreement, and boom, you're stuck. It's a stark reminder that in the legal world, every decision can have some serious, long-lasting consequences. Now, let's talk about how Murdaugh's legal troubles go way beyond just these financial crimes. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's not only facing time for stealing millions, but he's also been convicted of murdering his own wife and son. Yeah, you heard that right. It's a whole other level of messed up. So, Murdaugh's currently serving a life sentence for those murders. But here's the thing, his legal team isn't giving up. They've filed separate appeals with the South Carolina Supreme Court, trying to challenge his murder convictions. What are they arguing? Well, they're claiming there were some issues with how the jurors were selected during the trial. It's like they're saying, hey, wait a minute, the game wasn't fair from the start. Now, if these appeals actually work out in Murdaugh's favor, and let me tell you, that's a big if, it could potentially lead to a retrial or even changes to his sentence. But don't hold your breath, folks. These kinds of appeals? They rarely succeed. It's fascinating, though, because cases like this can sometimes set precedents. they can change how similar high-profile cases are handled in the future. So even if Murdaugh doesn't win his appeal, the way the court handles it could impact other cases down the line. It just goes to show how complex and layered these legal battles can get, especially when you're dealing with someone accused of such serious crimes on multiple fronts. Now, let's dive into what the legal experts are saying about Murdaugh's appeal strategy. It's pretty interesting, you know? These experts, they're pointing out that Murdaugh's team is basically throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. They're exhausting every legal option, even when the odds of success are super slim. But here's the thing, it's not just about Murdaugh. This case, it's got broader implications for other high-profile cases out there. It's like a blueprint, showing how far defense teams might go to challenge convictions and sentences. Now, about the role of appeals in securing procedural justice, it's crucial, right? It's this safety net, making sure the legal system stays fair and balanced. But it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, it gives convicted individuals a chance to address potential errors or injustices. On the other, it can drag out the legal process, which can be tough on victims and their families. The experts are also talking about how Murdaugh's case highlights the tension between individual rights and the efficiency of the justice system. It's making people question how many appeals are too many. When does it stop being about justice and start being about exploiting the system? It's a complex issue, no doubt. But that's what makes it so fascinating. It's cases like this that really test the limits of our legal system and make us think about what justice really means. Alright, folks, that's the latest on the Alex Murdaugh saga. From financial crimes to murder convictions, this case just keeps on giving. It's a stark reminder of how complex our legal system can be, especially when it comes to high-profile cases. What do you think about Murdaugh's appeal strategy? Is justice being served? Head over to our social media and let us know your thoughts. And hey, if you're into deep dives like this one, hit that subscribe button for more daily doses of crime. Until next time, stay curious and keep questioning.
Hey listeners, welcome back to The Real Crime Diary. I'm your host, Sean Dupree. If you tuned in last time, we had a deep dive into the disturbing history of power abuse across different eras, looking at the connection between dominance, control, and how it plays out even today. We touched on scandals from the past and compared them with some modern-day examples, showing how these patterns of abuse, unfortunately, persist. One of the most insightful tools we've explored to understand this is my book, Power, Pleasure, and Pain, a study of abuse through time. It's not just a historical account, but an interdisciplinary approach to understanding why this keeps happening. We draw from history, philosophy, and modern case studies to explain how figures like Dominique Pellico, Harvey Weinstein, and others have exploited their positions of power for their own gain, often protected by the very systems meant to stop them. Recap of last interaction. In our last live stream, we discussed how libertinism, philosophically introduced by figures like Marquis de Sade, has shaped the way power and pleasure have been entangled throughout history. This concept ties directly into how figures like Weinstein operated, as we saw parallels between de Sade's fictional characters and the way powerful men manipulated their victims in real life. You guys had some amazing comments, asking how societal structures have allowed these behaviors to go unchecked for so long. It's a crucial question, and one that the book addresses deeply. Why this book is valuable. Now, what's powerful about Power, Pleasure, and Pain is its ability to break down these historical patterns and link them to the present. You're not just reading about ancient Rome or Enlightenment philosophy, you're seeing how these ideologies are alive today. The book uncovers how sexual violence and control have been systematically woven into the fabric of societies from ancient times right up to the modern era. It's about understanding not just the individual predators, but the systems that protect them, whether it's in royal courts, religious institutions, or today's corporate and entertainment worlds. Through these historical lenses, we also explore movements like #MeToo that are beginning to dismantle these structures. The fight for justice is far from over, But as the book demonstrates, we are in the midst of a cultural shift where legal reforms are finally addressing these long-standing issues. It's more than a history lesson. It's a guide to understanding and supporting change today. What's next? If you want to dive deeper, I suggest picking up Power, Pleasure, and Pain, a study of abuse through time. It's available now, and trust me, it will change the way you think about power, pleasure, and control. We've even got some exclusive content coming up on the channel where we'll be exploring the book's case studies in even more detail, so stay tuned for that. And if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to The Real Crime Diary so you don't miss any updates. Let's keep this conversation going, because understanding the past is key to changing the future.